Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz. They're at Jefferson High School, home of the Blue Jays. Herculaneum Black Cats taking on the Jefferson Blue Jays.
We've had a couple good games to start here, but, it doesn't get much bigger than Herky and Jefferson. Yeah, there's always things to improve on, and, there's things to improve on in all those facets, but we just got to be sure we take what they're giving us and we do it to the best of our ability. And, we knew we'd have athletes, and we try to get them in space the best we can, and when we can, usually good things happen.
Like you said, it's a rivalry game, so we have to be ready to play. Obviously, we've had some guys that are out. We've had to shuffle some guys around, but like I said last week, that's football, and you have to make the adjustment. But our guys just have to play tough, and the guys that are out there, they know that they're going to be playing a lot. We're going to count on these guys a lot.
Once again, Blue Jays come in 2-0 on the season. Herculaneum 1-1 and a one, or actually they're going to call it a 2-yard run for the quarterback. That was number 3, Cole Williams, 2-yard run. 2 wide receivers up top. Williams goes up top to the far corner, and that is a touchdown to Bennett Pemberton. Mr. Automatic with another one. That is a 22-yard TD pass. That'll send Cooper Frisk in motion. Williams says, thank you very much. I'll take that in all by myself. And that is now a 20-0 lead as Cole Williams has ran for 2 touchdowns, has tossed for 1.
Herculaneum trying to find something that's working for him, but Coach Atley, hey, you got to give it up to him for a little bit here to air the ball out at times because he's got Cole Williams out there. He's got people that and weapons to throw to. So interesting situation here, but for Coach Boss here, he's always had the same mental MO being next guy up. And it's next guy up for Herculaneum, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Here is Cole Williams. He's going to take a deep ball to the end zone, and that is Bennett Pemberton, Mr. Touchdown. That is all he does. Catches another one. That is a 34-yard TD pass down on the hill in St. Louis. Cole Williams. Snap back, he's going to just swing it out to Schnitzler. Schnitzler's going to sneak into the end zone. Ball was on the 9-yard line. So the fourth quarter, 10:41 left to go in this one. So 1:19 into the fourth quarter. Another touchdown pass from Cole Williams. That goes out to Schnitzler. That will be a 35-0 final score for Jefferson over the Herculaneum Black Cats.
Hey, we're catching up here with Coach Matt Atley from the Jefferson Blue Jays. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you?
Good. 35-0 big win over the Herculaneum Black Cats. Come in now, put you guys at 3-0. And some amazing stats out here from guys like Cole Williams. He's 14 of 15 for 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. Bennett Pemberton, 4 receptions for 67 yards and a couple touchdowns actually. Just take us through the game from Friday night and just your thoughts about it.
Yeah, things kind of went our way a lot of the time, which was, always a good thing as a coach. You want that to happen. Cole is just a great young man he executed our game plan pretty well. We had a few mistakes early on, and he and I had to have a conversation on the sideline about not doing too much and just understanding your role, and he embraced it. The one thing is he's protecting the ball, which is what we need. 14 for 15 from a completion percentage is just outrageous. And I wish I could say it was just this game, but I think he's sitting at something like a 70% completion percentage for the season. So he's just been a smart young man. He embraces the role of being the quarterback and having the ball in his hand. And he's really just put us in a great spot. Defensively, you couldn't be any prouder of the kids we have on the defensive side. Coach Casey, our defensive coordinator, has just done a fantastic job putting those kids in a great position, and being simple for us, but making it complex for those who we play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a dangerous combination when you got kids who are playing with great effort like we do right now. So, I was very proud of them across the board. I could go on about player, but just a lot of great things. I know defensively, Mikey Frisk and Nate Breeze were two of the huge factors for us who made a huge role, as well as Alex Roth. Alex Roth, I think, had 2 big tackles for losses, 2 or 3. So A lot of good.
Yeah. Now, do you think that you talked about a little bit about, the being, simple? Is that a hard buy-in for some of the players?
No, I don't think so. I think it's actually a pretty easy buy-in. It's simple, but at the same token, it's not elementary, I guess, if that makes sense. We still keep it fresh, and we do different things each week that allows them to be put in the best possible position. And I really think our kids just embraced it, and it allows them to play faster. So I'm just very proud of them, and I'm very proud of my coaching staff and everything they have done across the board. Whether it be Coach Grove working with Cole Williams, or whether it be Coach Lloyd working with our special teams, or Coach Spidell helping out that O-line.
Right.
So just really proud of those guys as well as all our players.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Cole Williams. He was our player of the week last week, and really kind of coming into himself. And I know you said you had a little snafu on the sideline. It looked like I think you kind of cleaned that up pretty quick there for the game against Herky Friday night. But tell us a little bit about Cole. What he's done for you guys.
Yeah, he's an emotional kid, and I mean, their emotions run high in a game like Herky against Jefferson, and there's no doubt about that. So he messed up a few motions and things like that, but the great thing is I was able to calm him down and just say, look, it's over, let's move on. And he did, and he did it in a big way. He embraces the opportunity to be a leader, which is good. And he's just such a fun kid to be around, such a great kid to be around. I wish I could just sit here and say he's the only – well, actually I don't. But I'm glad I get to sit here and say that he's a great kid and one of our best leaders. But this senior class has impressed me more and more each week. Kids like Mikey Frisk up front and really helping develop that offensive line that we knew was probably going to be one of our weaker points. And Levi Stokes is a bit of a silent leader up front as well. We have players like James Heberly, who, about a month or so ago didn't even know if he was going to be with us, has just really stepped in, embraced the role, and been such a great young man and a lot of fun to be around. Bennett Pemberton has been putting up the stats. Nate Breeze hasn't had probably the stats he had last year up to this point, but anyone who really knows about the game knows that we wouldn't be where we are without him and Max Schnitzler and the things that they have been doing. And, it's just across the board. We even have leaders on the sideline in that group like Devin Dawson, who don't get to play as much, but they still are, and Brandon Burford, who don't get to play as much, but they still are just there keeping everyone up, keeping them positive. So it's just been a lot of fun.
Excellent. Got St. Pius on the docket this week. Big game here. 2 3-0 teams coming together here. What's the game plan coming into that game?
Be us. Play Jefferson football. Play fast. Play physical. Play discipline. We're playing a great football team, and there's no doubt about it. And, they can say they're young. It doesn't matter how young they are. They're fast. They're physical. You can look at any of their scores on their schedule and know they're a pretty good football team. So we're got to have a great week this week. We got to put our best foot forward, and I know they got some really talented kids in the backfield. They got a kid back there who can sling it a little bit and just a great athlete. So we're going to have to be sure we put our our best game up to this point on film.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the time, and good luck to you this week, and hopefully you bring home a 4-0 win.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Coach Matt Atley from the Jefferson Blue Jays. Hello and welcome again to another episode of Upon Further Review. We have Week 3 results this week. We'll have Week 4 schedule. We'll also crown a brand new Player of the Week, along with some honorable mentions here. Ray Halbrook from Livestream STL. Hope everybody's having a great week. And we're going to bring in our good friends here, Mr. Matt Bates and Mr. Jeff Whitener. Matt Bates, Jeff Whitener, how you doing, guys?
I am as cool as the other side of the pillow, Ray.
Very nice. Jeffrey?
I can't top that, but it has been a good day. Beautiful weather, sunshine. What more can we want this time of year, guys?
Absolutely.
Except to talk about football.
Yes, let's do that right now. We're going to jump right in here. We have our Week 3 results. We'll go by threes here. We'll start with our Friday Night Blitz live stream STL game of the week. The Jefferson Blue Jays blowing out the Herculaneum Blackcats 35-0. The live stream STL South Friday Night Blitz game of the week, Festus 56 blowing out Windsor to 56-7 there. St. Vincent, we haven't talked a little bit about St. Vincent very much, but they had another big one against Perryville there, 49-7. We'll talk about the Jefferson Herculaneum game, and we'll throw this over there to Matt first.
Well, the three of us, this holy trinity right here, we were all at that game, and I got to tell you, seeing Jefferson, seeing Cole Williams, my first time seeing them in person, I got to tell you, Cole Williams didn't look shaken at all, like the poise in the pocket. 17 rushes, 85 yards. I mean, he had 3 total TDs. There was 3 passing, 2 rushing. He's 10th in the area in passing. The team rushing, 31 rushes, 104 yards. But when you look at this tight end, they have this Bennett Pemberton, 2 TD receptions. He had 4 catches, 67 yards. But on the season, out of his 8 catches, 5 of them have gone for TDs. I mean, it's just when you find your target and you hit him, that good things happen. And you look at Cole Williams with the running and the passing, the 8 TDs to 1 interception. I mean, to me, they're humming right now. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, it's nice for Cole Williams to have a big 6'5" target like Bennett Pemberton and 6'4" target, with help me out with the name here, guys.
Nate Breeze.
Nate Breeze, yes, thank you. That he can literally throw those flag patterns, Matt, and to the back of the end zone and let those guys just jump up and get it with their athleticism. One of the things that really stuck with me, Matt, after going back and reviewing the game afterwards, your pregame talk with Coach Atley, and I think it hit the nail on the head as far as how the game went. Jefferson did what they could on offense to put the ball in their skilled position players' hands out in space, whether that was swing passes, whether that was little counters, little traps. They got the ball to the outside, they got the ball out in the flat, and they let their guys just do what they do best. One of the things that Jefferson is known for the past 4 or 5 seasons at least is their edge blocking, and I thought that was all the difference in the game right there, fellas.
I agree. Let's talk Herky real quick, though. They are in a pickle right now. And as I think we had talked about, during the broadcast, and, you start your season with your quarterback written in, couple series in, fractures a finger. So you go down to your number 2 guy, which you've kind of got him penciled in because you're not really wanting to rely on him. But then, God forbid we have like a third quarterback that we need. And they had all of that by week 2. So, when you start week 2 and week 3 now on your number 3 guy, I'm not going to say word got out or anything like that, but I'm just telling you it limits your playbook. And then when you try to bring in the second quarterback who had his shoulder banged up, Mac Waddell, he rotated in for just a couple plays. But, I mean, when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, that really, and especially, I mean, we all know at the quarterback spot, it's not like you're having like a guard or a tackle, somebody hurt. I mean, the quarterback sets the tone, sets the pace. And when you're on number 3 and he's being put together by, athletic tape and stuff as he's got his ankle rolled up, Mr. Mattingly, when you look 34 rushing attempts and they only had 46 yards rushing, 2 for 6 in the air, 50 yards, 96 total yards of offense for Herculaneum. As Coach Boss said in a number of the post-game interviews, it's just he has not seen anything like this, and I think that's just a very succinct way to summarize that for Herculaneum, Jeff.
Well, I would agree, Matt. It's just they're in a situation, and of course, when you're an opposing defense, whether you're a lineman or a tackle, or even a strong safety, you're just licking your chops, you're pinning your ears back because they're going to have to run the ball, and they're going to have to run it between the tackles, and it makes it for a really tough night. I spoke to one of their coaches at halftime with the way things were going, and he just basically said, all we can do is just run the ball, get out of here as healthy as possible, and try to recoup for next week.
Yeah,
and recoup they shall. Real quick, St. Vincent, Perryville. I mean, all I can say is they're so far away, their stats don't make it to us. So we can move on and talk about the job that was done for the Festus Windsor game.
Yep.
Tanner
for some reason, Perry County folks down there don't want us to have. And I'm going to go on a bit of a rant for a second. In this technological day and age that we have, everybody has film. Everybody has a huddle camera. Everybody has all kinds of video everywhere. Nothing is a secret. Nothing. There's no top secret. There's no big surprise. And there is no reason that those teams can't share stats. And I'll say that to anybody at any one of those schools.
Windsor get 2 more stops. Cunningham takes the snap. He's going to hand it off to Bates. Bates surges forward, and he's into the end zone for the first touchdown of the night as the Festus Tigers take a 6-0 lead thanks to a 3-yard rushing touchdown from Hayden Bates. Smith takes the snap. He's going to hand it off to Avery Edwards. Edwards with a burst of speed up the middle. He avoids the last tackler. He gets in with the burst, 34-yard rushing touchdown for the Festus Tigers. And they're inside the 10, looking to increase their lead. They take the snap. It's an option. They're going to pitch it outside. Bates has got the edge, cuts back towards the middle, tries to muscle his way in, and he does for a Festus Tigers touchdown. It's 3rd and goal. Essen Smith barks out orders. He's got Tay Williams on his right behind him. The snap, they're going to hand it off to Williams. Williams grabbed in the backfield. He's going to have to surge forward. Did he push his way into the end zone? He did, according to the officials. And it's another touchdown for the Festus Tigers with 6:44 to go here in the second quarter. As we see Patterson line up under center. Man in motion, the snap, they fake the pitch out to him. It's going to be a passing play. Patterson's going to air this out. It's intercepted by the Festus Tigers defense, running towards the left side, cutting back towards the middle. It's a nice move by Trey Lacey. Trey Lacey may have a pick 6 as he goes to the house, as he has a pick 6 for the Festus Tigers as they increase the lead to 34-0. As Cunningham communicates with his offensive line, 2 wide receivers to the left. Hayden Bates on his right hip. The snap. They're going to hand this one off to the wide receiver. Rushing in, it's Landon Yates for a touchdown for the Festus Tigers as they increase their lead here in the first half to 41-0. As Windsor communicates with their kicker, as ready to send this one away, it's Ryan Eskridge. He sends it down the field. It'll be fielded right around the 23-yard line by the Festus Tigers. Running up a seam, avoiding tacklers, now bouncing to the outside. This is Hayden Bates with it. Bates is at the 50. He's got blockers in front of him. He's at the 30 down the sideline. Hesitates, cuts back to the right, shakes off one tackler, and then he will be dragged down at around the 7-yard line as Hayden Bates with an excellent return to start the second half as he almost went the distance. We do have he's at quarterback, takes the snap. He's going to hand it off. That's Avery Edwards. Edwards with a burst of speed, and on the first play from scrimmage in the second half, Avery Edwards with a 25-yard rushing touchdown, and the Festus Tigers are off and running here in the second half. Jackson Smith, as you heard him just saying the PA announce, he's the quarterback. Snap, they're going to hand it back off to Ford. Ford rushing towards the middle. He's going to try and push his way into the end zone. And Emo Ford's got a touchdown. The sophomore running back punches it in with 3:08 to go here in the third quarter. Guys, as it looks like the clock is just going to run down as we officially hit all zeros as the Festus Tigers improve to 2-1 on the year.
Now, let's talk about Festus and Windsor. Festus spread the ball around, 5 different receivers, 5 different running backs, Matt, getting in the action in a total team effort against Windsor.
You look at Festus, I mean, again, dynamite in small packages. Only 17 rushes, but on those 17 rushes, they gained 171 yards. So when you're knocking out 10 yards a shot, Hayden Bates, 2 rushes, 6 rushes, 32 yards, had 2 TDs. It's kind of a modest day, but you look at 42-0 at the half. And you look at Coach Funston over there at Windsor with, 45 rush yards, 134 yards in the air, 1 for 4 passing. That just makes a tough day, tough sledding at the office. And people we normally don't give a big shout out to, but Luke Wacker, 8 PATs in that game. Had the foot going and bombing the extra points when it counts. I mean, your extra point kicker got 8 points that day. So kudos to Luke Wacker. But again, overall, great team job by Festus. Just total, complete win.
Give that guy an honorable mention, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So let's move on here. We've got DeBerg 64, Afton 24. I want to talk a little bit about that game. Crystal City, a big win also, 55-22 over Bayless. Seckman, a great big win, 56-7 over Northwest. We'll start with the DeBerg game, and we'll start with Jeff here.
Well, I don't want to steal your thunder because, you and I have been around the DeBerg athletic program the past few years, and I'm just so very happy for DeBerg, for Coach Chad Masters, for Jack Masters, the quarterback. DeBerg Cavaliers get their first win since 2019 on the varsity football field. Masters 19 for 23, 352 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also rushed for 116 yards on 8 carries, and big team win, big confidence booster for DeBerg, and I'm just very, very happy for him. And Jack Masters is definitely one of my honorable mention guys.
They break an 18-game losing streak, and as you said, Jeff, going back to almost exactly 4 years to the date, September 20th, 2019. I mean, that's a lot of kids pulling their weight at a program, and this is where, and not to steal thunder for the next week coming up, but when I would have to think that whenever a program sees DeBerg on their schedule, the other team would have to be licking their chops. But seeing what they did to Afton in this game, Coach Funston for next week, I think might have to have taken a collective because 790 total yards, not on the year, in that game against Afton, 362 receiving yards, 428 rushing yards. Travis Moorhead, 8 carries, 99 yards. Keenan Thomas, 6 carries, 93 yards and a TD. Ashawn Pickens, the big A train, 4 carries, 62 yards. I mean, we talked about Festus and their 17 rushes for 117. They only had 30 rushes in this game for DeBerg, and they racked off 428 yards, knocking off, about 15 yards a pop. That is ridiculous. And the receiving yards, Keenan Thomas, 7 catches, 170 yards. He's now the number 1 wide receiver in total yards on the year, 447. And he's also the number 1 in the area with average reception yards at over 17.5 a reception. So there's a lot of what just happened in this week 3 game to where Coach Funston next week is just, I think, going to have to take a serious look at this game. And I think That win by DeBerg, that's what I had called the proverbial blood in the water with the Piranhas and the Sharks. That when you break an 18-game losing streak, guess what you want to do? You want to now have a 2-game winning streak. And the Owls better be ready and have their feathers slicked back for this one.
I agree. Moving on here, Crystal City 55, Bayless 22. We'll talk about that there, Jeff.
Well, Crystal City continues to shine, and as does their back, Kaden Bolton, 10 rushes for 12 yards, 21.2 yards per carry, and an interception. And Nolan Eisenbeis, middle linebacker on defense, 11 tackles. He's basically the de facto captain of that team, over their great leadership from Nolan Eisenbeis, and he really controls the defense. Bayless has some good skill position players, but they're still coming along, and a big win, for Crystal City against a larger school, I think.
I totally agree too, Jeff. And you look at Rafferty, 16 carries, 129 yards. DeRoos, 10 carries, 86 yards. I didn't see any passing attempts at all. All I saw was 50 rushes, 497 yards, so just a tick under 10 yards a pop, and 50 rushes, 497. But again, you go back, you look at DeBerg, 30 rushes, 428. There's a lot of serious rushing activity going on, and now it's a matter, I think, of these teams that can pass and run. I think, like, when you look at a team like Jefferson that can do both, you see what came out of the DeBerg game. Yes, the week before they got waxed 74-0 by Pius, but Jack Masters still against Pius still threw just a tick under 200 yards in that game. So there's something to be said about these one-trick ponies, that you can pound the ground game all you want, but when you face a team that can do both, I think that's really where the game opens up, and you'll see that coming up here, Seckman versus Northwest.
Hey, we're here with our player of the week upon further review, and that is Kaden Bolton. Kaden, how you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. Hey, man, great game against Bayless. 52-22 win. We've got you down 10 rushes, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. You were averaging 21.2 yards per carry. You were a man possessed, I'm sure. So take us through the game Friday night.
Yeah. Early in the game, our offense didn't start off too well in the first drive. So we knew we had to hit a switch on defense and get a stop. And then eventually our quarterback got hurt, and our starting quarterback is also hurt.
Oh, man.
So I just needed to step up.
Yeah, I get it, man. Take us through the season so far right now with the Crystal City Hornets. I know you guys are 2-1 right now. Got that dreaded loss against Louisiana, but for the most part, as far as your team's concerned, what do you think? Like, what's you guys' identity? What are you guys feeling right now as far as where you're at in the season?
I think that our defense is doing a lot better than we have last year, like around this time. And then, like I said, we've lost our QB1 and QB2, so we've had to make some changes about that.
Sure.
And then we had a great week 1 win, and then week 2 was a tough loss. We had 5 fumbles. Great defense, but just couldn't hold it up on offense.
Gotcha. You got Confluence Academy this week, and I'm sure Coach Fox is going to get you guys going there. What do you guys want to accomplish this week against Confluence?
Hopefully we can get our first shutout to show how good our defense really is. And, they're better than they were last year. You can see it on the film, so we'll have to play hard.
I get it, my friend. Well, congratulations this week on being our player of the week, and good luck to you next week.
Thank you.
It's Kaden Bolton from the Crystal City Hornets.
And guys, I was so impressed by Kaden Bolton this week. I don't know if you saw behind me up here. I've got my gifted Crystal City jersey hanging behind me in honor of the Hornets this week.
There you go.
There you go,
right.
rocking the Hornets nest, Jeff.
Right.
That's right.
Anything to say about the Sacramento Northwest game? That was pretty much of a blowout too.
Well,
To be expected.
Yeah.
and you had another kicker, Evan Benke, 8 PATs. Tommy Gabar now is tied for 11th in scoring. I mean, the team rushing, 34 rushes, 379 yards, knocking off about 11 and a little over 11 a carry. But Gabar, I mean, passing a modest day for 424 yards and a TD. So that's where, you see some of these teams that even throw the ball 4 or 5 times a game, I think just to do that, to break up the monotony. But when you're 4 for 4 with 124 yards, to me, that's like picking your shots and delivering when you need to, and going 4-4 with the 124 and the TD. I mean, Sacramento was up 49-0 at the half, and that was, the rest of it was easy sledding for them.
Gotcha. All right, moving on here. Kirkwood 14, Eureka 10, Lindbergh 42, Fox 14, Hillsboro 35, Fort Zumwalt West 28. Starting here with Matt.
Kirkwood Eureka. Eureka was up 10-0 at the half in this one. They had 22 carries though, only 84 yards. Hobelman, their quarterback, was 7 of 16, 97 yards. In the years, 23 for 41 for 503. I mean, so, he can sling the ball to get it done for the Wildcats, but Kirkwood, the Pioneers just stepped up 51 rushes, but they only knocked out 191 yards. So that's why I say the productivity on that. I mean, they ran the ball at will, but only knocking off 4 yards a pop, but they were 13 and 19 passing for 116 yards. Jeff?
My only thought on that game was I remember last week there was a gentleman, I think he's in a Battlehawks hat tonight, that said that he thought Eureka would have an easy time against Kirkwood. And I said, not so fast, sir. Not so fast. And Kirkwood played very inspired defense last week. It happens in high school football. And that sets up some really interesting matches in those suburban conferences in the weeks ahead, now that both of those teams have one loss, and a big game for Eureka coming up next week we'll talk a little bit about later.
All right.
Let's talk about Coach Tinker over at Fox and the yin and yang that he has to go through. That, Lindbergh slaps him in the face 42-14, but I got to tell you, Coach Tinker is always, and Jeff, you know this from our time at another location, Coach Tinker, whether he wins 42-14 or loses 42-14, is a man about his business and will talk, and he will give you the interview and is as honest as they come. And hearing his interview, Fox led 14-0 in the first quarter, but then Lindbergh, 51 rushes on the game, 304 yards. They just ground and pound. But you look at the job that Aiden Smith did, once again, 14 carries, 74 yards. But Cam Underwood, 10 carries, 104. I mean, Fox, they ran the ball 44 times, 388 yards. But just the productivity, just the, the end result just was not there at the end of the day for whatever reason.
When you see stats like that, Matt, you always think your first thing that you think of are penalties and turnovers. And I don't know what the stats were for Fox on that game, but there had to be a reason some of those drives were stalled.
All right. Moving on here. Let's talk about the Hillsboro Fort Zumwalt West game there, 35-28. That looked like a thriller.
Another 35-28 game for Hillsboro, and another fourth quarter needed a touchdown to pull this thing out because they were tied at 28. Last week it was Sykeston. This past week now was Fort Zumwalt West. Once again, that PB sandwich is just chugging right along. Peyton Brown, 9 TDs on the year, 32 rushes, 365 yards, 7 TDs. I mean, he's averaging 11.4 a carry. Preston Brown, 477 total passing yards, 7 TDs, 4 picks. You got to hand it to Coach Saharsky over there that, it's not like he's just having to plug in the right pieces. The pieces are there, and they're just taking the message, putting it to work onto the carpet. And even a kid like Cohen Linder on the kickoff return team, 4 returns, 111 yards, averaging almost 28 yards a pop on that. So, when all cylinders are clicking, that's the end result you see from the Hawks over there.
And I need to talk about the strength of schedule here. Hillsborough has a much tougher schedule, in my opinion, this year than they have in the past. And these last 2 weeks, these teams that they've played have been no slouches at all. Fort Zumwalt West is now 1-2, but they're a pretty decent big school team. And I have the theory that these close games, these tough, grinded out victory games will actually benefit the Hawks down the road, guys. Last year, they kind of cakewalked through most of the schedule, and that might have hurt them a little bit come district time. But I think these are the types of games that really build the toughness. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Hillsborough can do here in a couple weeks when they have a showdown with Festus.
And we'll be there
and
for
it's
that
funny
game.
You brought that up, Jeff, because I was just going to ask you that too. That did it seem that their schedule was a little tighter this year, because you're not seeing the 70 to nothings like every other week that you saw last week? But I was just going to say, was that me, or would you say that would be the scheduling? And I think you handled that well.
Yeah, a little bit of difference in the scheduling this year, the uptick. And, of course, their defense took some hits to graduation last year. So, it's going to take them a little while to come up to speed in the system. So, yeah, I don't want to say it's an Achilles heel, but, Hillsborough can be scored on a little bit if you have the right personnel. But it'll be interesting to see where that defense is as we move on towards the end of the season.
Absolutely. Our final group of games here: North County 35, DeSoto 3, St. Pius X 46, Grandview 14, Oakville 35, and Webster Groves 24. That game was on Thursday. That was a good one too. So we'll start with that North County DeSoto game there, Jeff.
Not a whole lot to say about this. North County gets back in the win column. DeSoto, right now it's just about personnel and it's about culture, and it's going to take a while to turn that thing around. And if anybody can do it, it's Coach Schmidt down there in DeSoto, but it's just going to take a while. These kids down there, there's been so much regime change that they've gone through. Just getting the athletes back out, thinking of the whole community and getting them behind this team is the number one priority for Coach Schmidt. So I hope that they can get another victory or two this season to add to the one they got in week 1, but it's going to be a tough road to hoe.
I totally agree, Jeff. I mean, that was a great analysis that, Coach Schmidt, he's trying to get on board. And if you saw our preseason show, I mean, he was very adamant, very passionate about that, about the community, getting everybody to try to get on board with this. I mean, because you look at the players that are there. I mean, if you're a senior, you're on your 3rd head coach in 4 years. So it's really tough to get any level of continuity. Right now, you want to win as much as you can. I get that. But I think just trying to develop now with the younger talent that's there, so looking like, say, like an Eli Tebow, where if he knows that Coach is going to be here now the next 2 years, now I'm going to try to spoon feed a little bit more of that message a little harder, and that message should be swallowed a little easier, as opposed to, I heard this, message last year, but then that coach left, and I heard it the year before, and that coach left, where just trying to breed that continuity to where, because as they say, it starts at the top. And so if Coach Schmidt can breed that, get that put in, hopefully it doesn't take to the senior year, but it's one of those things that continuity just doesn't come overnight.
Right, and with continuity comes trust.
Exactly. Any of those others are St. Pius X, Grandview 14. We'll talk a little bit about that game. Matt?
Justin Lane, kind of held in check a little bit. I mean, if you look at his overall production for that game, 13 carries, 86 yards, but still, he's one of the area leaders, has seven TDs. But you look at the passing of James Smith. I mean, 10 for 20, 283 yards, 4 TDs, and 1 pick. Kind of slides under the radar just a touch because I think the last week he only had like 2, 3, 4 passing attempts at most. But it's just the grind it out. So yeah, so Lane had a modest day running the ball, but 23 tackles, 18 solo, 5 assists. I mean, come on. Grandview, Coach Kimenow, total passing they had, or total rushing. I mean, they had 40 rushes, but they only had 136 yards to show for it. Threw the ball 7 times, 5 to 7, but only 29 yards. Where, again, when you look at what Eureka was doing, Gabar threw the ball 4 times for 114. You throw the ball 7 times, 5 completions, 29 yards. You got to, again, I think some of those passes are just designed to just break up the monotony where you face a team that, has a purpose behind the pass. That's going to make those teams a lot more tougher to face down the road.
Matt, and you touched on it earlier, teams that are able to have the versatility to throw the ball a certain percentage of time. And this is a classic example of that. In my opinion, Smith is one of the best quarterbacks in the county. And not only the way he runs the ball, but he can throw the ball as well. He's very intelligent with the ball. Grandview set out to stop Lane and Smith on the rushing. They really focused on the ground game. It opened up the passing game. And here you see a total difference in what happened last week. You take what the defense has given you, and Smith had a pretty decent day through the air. If I were any team in the I-55 conference, more than any other team, I would be very, very afraid to play Pius right now. They are playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they have their sights on the conference title and beyond, fellas.
I agree with that.
Oakville goes to 3-0. Ethan Venable, 6 touchdowns on the year. Eden Malalich, 11 carries, 106 yards. Total team rushes, 33 for 222 yards. And Max Bradley slinging the ball, 16 of 22, 171 yards with a TD and 2 picks. But I think just of note, the Statesmen, they were up 10-7 at the half. And all of a sudden, it just took a frantic fourth quarter. I mean, both teams threw up 14 points each. So I think it was just kind of a race to see who the last man standing was going to be in this one, even though Oakville wound up winning this by 11 points. The Statesmen, they only had 71 yards rushing, but they had 321 yards of passing, going 23 for 38, slinging the pigskin around.
Yeah, and Webster Grove's rebuilding that program over there. This is a type of game that they need to learn how to win as a team as these young guys come on, because this game was certainly winnable for the Statesmen, and it's a game that maybe in a couple years from now they will win. But kudos for Oakville for making the necessary adjustments, especially through the air, to come back and win that game.
Ruther Ford is the place to shop for your next vehicle. We have a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, and they're all priced to sell. Not in the market for a new car? We have a great service staff that can keep your car in top shape. Also, be sure to check out our parts department for your next car project. Once again, we're Ruther Ford off I-55, the Herculean Automotive.
Family pride is driven home. Ruther Ford, Ruther.com.
The Breeze Dental Care Team consists of dedicated individuals who are caring, kind, and friendly. Our staff is here to ensure a pleasant experience during your visit to our office. Our team includes experienced and energetic people whose goal it is to communicate well with our patients and provide the best care possible. Providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic care. Schedule a visit by calling 636-937-3030 or find us on the web at breezedentalcare.com.
The House Bar and Grill at your Festus Pasta House is your place to watch all local high school sports live. That's right, I said live. Come in and enjoy all local high school sports brought to you live on our 5 big screen TVs from Livestream STL. Also enjoy our happy hour menu, which includes half-price pizzas, discounted appetizers, and drink specials. We are the best place to gather for your local high school sports, brought to you by Livestream STL at your Festus Pasta House on Highway A, where it's always a great time.
Hey, y'all, it's Jeff from Case and Bucks. Thanks for watching the games today. We appreciate all your business all year long. Don't forget, we've got awesome wings, we got amazing burgers, and we got salads like you wouldn't believe. Come check us out. We have barbecue on Thursdays. We have Southern Nights on Wednesdays. We've got bingo on Tuesdays. We can't wait to see you all. Thanks a bunch, and we look forward to having a great summer with y'all.
All right, let's talk about week 4 matchups here. We'll go through these pretty quick, and then we just pick them off as we as you feel led to do. Our Livestream STL Friday Night Blitz game of the week there, Festus at DeSoto. Our Livestream STL South game of the week, Friday Night Blitz, will be DeBerg at Windsor. Bayless takes on Perryville. Melville taking on Sacman. Hillsboro goes down to North County. St. Vincent visits Herculaneum. Jefferson is at St. Pius X. Should be a good one there. Lafayette at Northwest. Confluence at Crystal City. And we round everything out here with Grandview at Hallsville. I'm going to kick it over there to Jeffrey.
Well, as we look at the schedule this week, guys, there's 3 games that stand out for me in the schedule this week, and one of them is our live stream South game of the week, DeBerg at Windsor. Very intrigued by this matchup, a match of 1 and 2 teams, granted, but DeBerg coming off the big win last week, Windsor reeling from their loss at Festus, and you've got momentum going in opposite directions for both of these teams right now, but Windsor, they've shown they can run the ball and have some success. It's just, can they punch it in the end zone? I think this game's simply going to come down to turnovers and penalties. But I think that DeBerg has a shot to knock off Windsor. But Windsor, if they can control the ball, especially on the ground, I think they can keep the score a little lower and come away with the victory. Now, St. Pius and Jefferson, St. Pius at home, Jefferson's going to have a huge uphill battle here. This game's going to be decided on the offensive and defensive lines, and that's an area that Jefferson that might be the weakness of their team. It hasn't shown that so far, but what kind of team Frank Ray brings to the table. Both of these teams playing with a little chip on their shoulder and using some outside things as motivation right now. But, man, Pius is going to be tough at home. The other game, 2-1 Marquette at 2-1 Eureka, I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup. Both of those schools lost a lot through graduation last year, but they also have some very good pieces of the puzzle. And Marquette coming in at Eureka, a chance for Eureka to rebound and try to get a victory at home, which would make Marquette 2-2 on the season. So those are the 3 games that really stand out to me, fellas.
Matthew.
Well, I agree with Jeff on 2 of them, because I had DeBerg and Windsor circled, and actually I think those that watched the show last week heard me talk about that DeBerg game and how that could be a sleeper and look for DeBerg to possibly pull one out. I agree on all aspects about Jefferson going to Pius, just that short trip north of 61, 67. That's and especially with Pius being at home for that one too. Mercy. Intrigued by the Confluence and Crystal City game just to see how Crystal City handles, just going forward. I guess for me, it's just, are they going to throw the ball next week? I mean, I know they don't have to, as they showed the week before, but just curious if just to see if they can keep it up with their ground and pound game that they have, and yes, and also that Marquette Eureka game that didn't make the list, but I agree as well, having covered Marquette last year for the high school playoffs in football, they definitely are a force to be reckoned with. And if Eureka's not ready for what Marquette has to bring to the table, that could be a long day.
It's time for our honorable mentions segment here. We've got 5 honorable mentions this time around here. We'll talk a little bit about them. Cole Williams, 5 touchdowns, 3 of those passing, 2 of those rushing, 17 for 85, 14 of 15 passing for 180 yards. We got Jack Masters, man, he blew it up there. 19 of 23, 362 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 of 116 rushing and 3 touchdowns as well.
Yes.
Unbelievable night for Jack Masters. For DeBerg, Keenan Thomas, also there 7 of 170 for 2 touchdowns. Peyton Brown always lighting it up there. 19 rushes for 186 yards. Preston Brown 9 of 16 for 153 yards. And we have a kicker. How about this? We're going to give a big shout out here to Luke Wacker of Festus. He had 8 PATs. So congratulations to Luke Wacker. Any of these guys you want to give a shout out to on your end there, and we'll start with Jeff real quick.
Luke the Toe Wacker.
There you go.
I tell you what, guys, we do football every single week, and I think that special teams, especially the kicking game, is one of the most overlooked parts of the game here, especially in Jefferson County for some reason. And it's even worse, the smaller you go down with the school size, it seems like people are having trouble finding a kicker. I don't understand that. If you've got a soccer team, certainly you've got a kicker capable of kicking extra points. And I'm just so glad that somebody like Luke Wacker is getting some attention for what he does, because having a kicking game is such a bonus down here. And good for him. That's all I'll say. The other guys, they do their stuff every week. I'm just glad we got some recognition for a special teams player.
There you go. Matt.
I really, when you step back and you look at the job that at least to get the win that Bishop DeBerg pulled off against Afton. Now, again, we can say what we want about strength of competition, level of opponent, but at the end of the day, I can tell you right now, everybody that looks at their schedule wants to knock the snot out of Bishop DeBerg, and they want to get that win. Right. This time they flipped the script, and they threw up 790 yards of offense in one game.
Wow.
And all I'm going to say is that that's just got to sink in somehow, that the coaches see this same information. So I'm just going to say Coach Funston has got to take notice of what Bishop DeBerg just threw up last week and what they're getting ready to face, because that is definitely not going to be a walk in the park.
I agree with you on that there, Matt. We'll wrap things up here. Thanks again for watching. Upon further review, we'll let you guys know also what we've got going on this week. We talked about it just briefly a little bit here. Our live stream STL South player, our game of the week here, the DeBerg Cavaliers will be taking on the Windsor Owls. That'll be at 7 o'clock on live stream STL South. And we'll also have the Festus Tigers taking on the DeSoto Dragons there on live stream STL. That'll be over at DeSoto High School. For Ray Halbrook, for Matt Bates, for Jeff Whitener, all of us here at Live Stream STL. And upon further review, have a great week. Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Live Stream STL is strictly prohibited.